Sailing full steam ahead into session 2. We have our moderator, head of CAMDU, Ms. Giannetti George, Mr. Eugene Gabriel, proud owner of E&E Agrochemicals, from St. Lucia 360, Mr. Ronald Rahul, and Ms. Toiler Lago, Innovation Entrepreneurship Specialist to the UECS SKIP. And take it full for it.
Thank you, Mr. St. Mary. Welcome, viewers online, the virtual world joining us, and here on this beautiful afternoon in Heroes Park. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you to our second discussion for the day as we bring a close to Innovation and Creativity Week, or Creativity and Innovation Week. And we have with us our esteemed panelists. Let me begin here on my left with Mr. Eugene Gabriel. We'll begin with each of you telling us something about yourself and the businesses that you are here to speak about. So, Mr. Eugene, tell us about yourself, Mr. Eugene Gabriel.
Good afternoon. My name is Eugene Gabriel. I am the founder and managing director of E&E Agrochemicals. I manufacture agrochemicals for the agricultural sector. I'm introduced to the blue economy. We use products from the ocean to create our fertilizers.
Oh, wow, that's impressive. We're going to come back to you. Products from the ocean. All right. And here on my right, I have another gentleman. You know, today we are going against the norm. We have 50-50 females to males. That is so unusual. Usually we have more females than males. So, Mr. Ronald Rahul, tell us about you and your business.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ronald Rahul from Castries, and the business is St. Lucia 360. We basically captured St. Lucia in a virtual format where you could explore the island from the north, Cap Estate, all the way to the south, from anywhere on the globe. You could take St. Lucia with you in your pocket, on your smartphone. Not only the land part of St. Lucia, we also do the underwater as well. So like the diving experiences, you could experience all of that from anywhere in the world. So you could export St. Lucia basically by forwarding like a WhatsApp link.
That's impressive. And in this world of technology, wow. So you can visit St. Lucia anytime, anywhere.
That is correct.
That sounds exciting. We also have with us Miss Toiler Lagon.
Correct.
Tell us about your...
Representing the OECS SKIP, which stands for the Skills and Innovation Project, which is housed under the Ministry of Education. I can't say that I am an entrepreneur in this post, but I do have quite a bit of experience. In fact, that would, of course, be informing my role as the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Specialist, who's here to facilitate, really, of course, young entrepreneurs and enabling the youth so that they are empowered to produce innovative ideas that, of course, could stand the test of time within the market. I'm also very grateful to be a panelist because my grandfather is a fisherman. I have great recollections of being underwater, so even exploring the conversation with regards to innovation in the blue economy is very as innovate, sustain, and prosper. The project was designed, of course, on the Sustainable Development Goals, one of those being enabling innovation. I think that we're at a critical point whereby, especially with what's going on internationally with trade and what's happening with the US versus other parts of the world, it's really important that we hold our own. And we can. I do believe that we've been set in the mindset of being in survival mode, and we need to pivot now into creating. this is our shortfall, this is what is happening for us, how can we create around it? And of course, tourism has been a breadwinner for St. Lucia, likewise agriculture, but I really do applaud the government of St. Lucia for taking a focus point with regards to looking at how we can, of course, continue to empower these industries because they are our biggest income earners, but how can we look at the blue economy in and of itself to propel in that way? Our project, we will be providing a lot of help through the education system, ensuring that, of course, new education programs are designed with innovation in mind, so that the student in the classroom is not really just getting textbook knowledge, but they also have opportunities to look at real-time problem solving. If X, Y, and Z were to happen, how would you use your understanding of the technical field to, of course, create a solution? And again, the big word here really is creating. So I think that that's important. One very important part of our project is that we will be rolling out a grants program which will allow those very same youth to support in, of course, the business sector, starting up very early as to how they could have innovative services or innovative products that could really, again, propel the private sector, but in a sustainable way. The underpinning is the sustainability.
Excellent, excellent. Now, when you speak of youth, we tell us specifically what is your target group, because I heard you speak about the connection with education, and perhaps our viewers may think intuitively you're speaking about students in the education system, but what level specifically are you targeting?
So we're making a deliberate attempt to target 18 to 35.
Okay.
Okay, and it's also linked very closely to students that are within the TVET space. It's not closed off to them, but we are again prioritizing that based on, again, labor market needs and appreciating that we really need to build capacity, and the way to build capacity is through creating.
Okay,
Yes.
Very good. Thank you so much for that. Now let's go over to Eugene Gabriel. Eugene is a self-made man, right? And as I listened to Toilet, I was thinking, wow, Eugene must be thinking he wish he had those opportunities when he started back then. So, Eugene, tell us, do you think the SKIP project is really going to be as impactful as we or as they think it's going to be? And tell us how you began your journey and how maybe some of the opportunities SKIP is providing, if you had it, would have maybe accelerated your success. Or if not, how else could you have attained the success?
Okay, well, like she said, they focus on the youth. Innovation starts from we, the elders, putting into the mind of the youth that do not just be the consumer, but try to imagine yourself creating something that could actually help you in the long run. Everybody will call you crazy. Everybody. But they called Einstein crazy. Yeah? And look at where we are today. He's one of the greatest minds of the 20th century.
So you're redefining the term crazy?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Let's hear some more.
You understand? So once you think outside that box and you tell yourself, okay, this might work. All you need to tell yourself, this might work. Not it will work, it might work. And that you take the leap of faith in not just your product that you want to develop, but in yourself. A project like that could easily help a young entrepreneur, a young innovator to get from point A to point B, and to raise the collateral through grant funding, to get mentors to help them push their product, or to do more research and development within that space that they are.
Let's talk about products. You are the owner of an agrochemical company.
Yes.
And you said to us earlier on that most of your raw materials come from the ocean, comes from the marine environment.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of the products that you offer,
Okay,
and
so
exactly what sources they come from.
Okay, so I use CMOS largely in as a binder. Yeah. In the sense that because of all the nutrients that it carries, through our process, our manufacturing process, it enables the plant to be bioavailable to the plant itself. So again, like I said earlier, CMOS has many uses, including right now we're doing some research and development into bioplastics using CMOS. We have been successful, even with the sarcasm
So
seaweed.
creating plastic.
Yes, creating a bioplastic with it.
Okay, so will that be some kind of biodegradable plastic?
Yes, as you know, when you buy a pack of CMOS in the store or get it off the beach and you put it to boil, it starts to
Yes, make that
degrade.
gel. Yeah.
But also, if you leave it out in the sun and you allow enough micros to actually get to it, it hardens, and the elasticity of it becomes stronger in itself.
That's
So,
interesting.
yeah, a lot of people don't recognize it because we only use it to consume
Yes, as a drink.
as a drink.
Yes, we don't
But
think
we don't see
about
past
other
that.
applications. Yes.
Exactly. So earlier, the first panel was talking about the fish pots,
Yes.
where they were speaking to JICA about making the panels for it. It is if my calculations are correct, the CMOS could be able to do just that.
Well, you need to make a prototype, and we need to test this.
It's not as easy as I make it sound. I can guarantee you that. A lot of sleepless nights. But it's worth a try.
Yes, of course.
It's worth a try. And
Of
again,
course.
like I say, all you need to do is put that idea into a student's mind to do that. I cannot innovate everything, which I don't want to do because it's a very difficult process to do.
But you know, it's very impressive to hear from you mentioning research and development. Research and development. You stated that term several times. Based on my casual observation, I've not carried out a study, but it seems to me that for us in the region, we are not heavily involved or heavily focused, or research and development is not a priority. Can you just share with us the benefits of engaging in research and development?
Okay, I'll give you that from my standpoint
Yes.
as an agriculturist. If you purchase a product from overseas, yeah, you go to the store, you purchase the product, all you do is use it. You decide, okay, you planting peppers or whatever you planting, it gives you the results. But how do you know it isn't the microbial in the soil and it's the product giving you those results without doing that research and development? So you turn from not just being a consumer of the product that's bought, but the actual study into the involvement of the nutrients in the soil and the plant. The symbiotic relationship between the two.
So is the CMOS the only natural resource that you use from the marine
No,
environment?
I also use the fish waste.
The fish waste?
Yeah, to make the fish fertilizer itself, the fish
Okay.
hydrolyzate. And one reason too, and a lot of fishermen and us other people don't realize that every time you dump fish waste in the sea, these are the same places we go, we walk barefooted. The amount of bacteria and diseases that form right there
On the seashore?
on the seashore, where we actually
Shoreline.
cleaning the fish
Right.
there.
Yes.
And then we contact that, and we wonder how our skin have issues. It's coming from that exact
So
same thing.
what are you proposing? What should be the better practice?
Well, again, the better practice is composting.
Uh-huh.
Composting the fish waste, or again, like myself, I create a fertilizer from it.
Right. So how can these fishermen now reach out to you? What should they be doing with the fish waste? Should they be
Well,
collecting
again,
it
in my opinion,
and then
each-
getting it to you?
each fisheries should have a bin, a fish waste bin. You understand? So at the end of the day, when fishermen clean their space, the waste goes into that.
Okay.
I mean, I already have my my ways of getting the fish waste.
Yes. Or you already have your
Yeah, because I
your
have fishermen that
mechanisms.
I work with.
So you don't want any more?
No, there's space for growth in the sector. You
Yes.
understand? There are certain things that we could do with the fish waste still. We just have to innovate.
Yes.
Because what I do, I break down the raw material into a liquid,
Yes.
but I still compost the solid material that
Yes.
is left.
That's right. Yes.
I do not want to go into composting full time.
Okay. So
So again, it's the idea.
ideas.
It comes from that too. So a young person could
Yes.
move forward into something that they love, whether it be agriculture or whatever it is.
Very nice. Very
Even
good.
at home, you could do the exact same thing.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that, Eugene. And now we're going over to Ronald. Ronald speaks a lot with great passion about, the use of technology and how we can bring images of St. Lucia to the rest of the world. This morning I got the wonderful experience to use this 360 technology for me to see areas right here close by that I had never seen from the perspective of looking from the top and then looking down. Ronald, tell us more about your business and what inspired you into this area of, business for yourself. What was your inspiration?
Okay, I can tell you how it all started, right? I remember when leaving school on an afternoon, and I think it used to be the Liad building at Brazil Street. It's a strange story. And I'm not sure if I was the only student who was interested in magazines. And I would always be fascinated by the captures in the magazines, like the shots and everything. And it's long after, right, like, we also do real estate, but you realize when you advertise real estate, there's little traction. But when you advertise places of interest in St. Lucia, like, people will be like, where is this? Is this St. Lucia?
Yes, yes.
And I was actually taken aback, but how would people not know it's St. Lucia? Not realizing that a lot of us do not explore St. Lucia. They will be surprised to see that many people that travel every summer, and there are places in St. Lucia that they do not know exist, right? So it came from that situation where I wanted to show people St. Lucia the way I saw it. And I'll tell you something, and even my family could attest to that. Once the weather is like really, really, really clear, I itch to head down the coast and just capture different scenic locations of St. Lucia.
Like right now.
Right. It's like, if I don't go, I see it like it's good weather going to waste.
Yes, yes.
Right? So I just really wanted to, it's like when you see something, you realize, come have a look at this. So it was my way of telling St. Lucia, come, this is what I'm seeing when I see St. Lucia, when I see the pitons, right? I live above the city, and I challenge myself to capture the city from different angles, make it more interesting. Let me see, you understand? So St. Lucia has so much to offer in terms of scenery and history as well. The historical aspect of St. Lucia is so rich, and it's something that I really wanted to, like, sensitize, especially the younger ones, like our culture, our history, and you want to get it to them in a way that's not boring, because to the average student, when you're in history, like, oh boy, you understand? So with technology, there are vivid ways to bring that across, right? And a lot of my work happened during during COVID.
Yes.
So I got a really unique opportunity to capture the beaches empty, the waterfalls empty, right? With permission, that is,
Yes,
not sneaking around.
Yes, yeah.
Right? And then when I started putting it together, then I realized, oh, wait, there's more I can add to this, like the history of this area. And something I try to do, like, I'm in the process of updating it right now, because inevitably there are changes to the landscape, like development and what the case is. So you want to keep it as current as possible, right? And you want to get that imagery across to people who cannot visit St. Lucia for one reason or the other, or who are trying to figure out where could I go, right? I can tell you, based on my research, there are not many islands in the Caribbean who have a virtual tour of their space, right? And like I always tell my children, right, ordinary doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
Right? Always go above and beyond. Always try to do more. Always try to stand out in what you do. Right? Like when capturing a photo, it's not like I would not go and just, okay, I would try to figure out, okay, what's the best angle? What am I trying to relay? Right? What can I really get that really stands out? And that's the way I try to portray St. Lucia. Already it has its own natural beauty. Right? St. Lucia is, if you notice, St. Lucia is a perfect mix of mountainous region and flat areas. Viewfort, for example, Viewfort is mainly flat, but you have like Soufrière in these areas, and it's like a perfect blend, okay? And St. Lucia, I don't know if many people notice that, but St. Lucia is a hot number on the international market now.
Yes, we know
right?
that. We know that.
When traveling, we went to like the strangest of places, in a pharmacy somewhere in New York. Somebody was like, yeah, I heard about St. Lucia. Yes. And we were surprised. You understand? So I think we need to really realize what we have for our country. And St. Lucia 360, that's what it is. I try to capture the cultural aspect.
For the, you see, when I said earlier on, you like to talk about this with a lot of passion. You love this. We can see that. But as we want to hone in on the concept of the blue economy, how do you see St. Lucia 360 diving into the concept of blue economy?
Okay, one of the areas we are venturing into is underwater videography, and again, going one step further, there are a number of people who under the water is, let me tell you, somewhere completely different. It's absolutely amazing, but there are some of us sometimes for physical limitations, or sometimes we don't have the skill to dive.
Be honest, for a population who lives on an island, most of us cannot swim.
I don't want to put it that way.
Let's challenge ourselves. This year, let this be, as we link to the blue economy, let us learn how to swim, snorkel.
I agree.
So tell us, go on.
Okay, so what we're doing is, for the person who's not ready to go to dive or to swim as yet,
okay,
you can put on a pair of VR goggles, and it'll be as if you're the one diving to the various locations, right? Or we could look at it in another way. Say a visitor comes with their spouse, and their spouse is differently able, or the cases, and cannot go down into the water with their spouse. They could actually stay on the boat and view virtually their spouse diving under the water.
I would think after seeing that, they would want to go into the water. I just had an idea, Eugene. How about if you do, you do site visits? So you'll give us like marines tours, and people can pick the spot where they want to have the underwater weddings. That could be a new business idea. We can do underwater weddings.
Yeah, we've actually had an underwater wedding here, one or two. Yeah, and this time I captured it by aerial drone, right? But if it happens again, I plan on capturing it with an underwater drone.
Yes, you see that right there? We could form a company, the four of us. So, do you see more room for innovation as it relates to that notion of doing those underwater tours, or viewing more of the underwater world? Do you think that would help us develop a deeper appreciation for the marine ecosystem? I know you heard this morning several speakers spoke about pollution and preserving. Even as we look at the theme, we talk about sustaining. So how do you think the service that you provide can help us to develop appreciation so that we can preserve and sustain the marine ecosystem?
Okay, what I think it would definitely help. It's just like if somebody gives you an object you're not familiar with, you will not know the value, so you will not know how to necessarily appreciate it or take care of it, right? When you find out that thing is worth, let's just say $1 million or whatever, your whole perception changes, your attitude towards it changes. I think there are many of us who have not seen what it's like underwater, right? And you might see it on TV is one thing, but to visualize it in 3D,
yes,
where you're as if you're the one under there, is a completely different experience. And I think it would translate into a greater appreciation that, yes, we live on land, but what we do affects under the water tremendously. And the fact that we rely on the sea for our fish, our seafood, and what the case is. Yeah, and inevitably what we do on land has a direct impact on what happens underwater.
Absolutely.
The more we see of what goes on under there, the greater an appreciation we have for the underwater. Sorry.
Absolutely. So thank you very much for that, Ronald. Eugene, as Ronald was speaking about the impact of the activities that we do on land and how it affects the marine ecosystem. Do you have any fears or anxieties that the activities that we are engaged in right here on the land might be affecting the success of your business?
Yes.
Tell us about
yes.
that.
And again, it goes back to education. Educating the farmers that use those. It could be your nutrients, your other hazardous chemicals, the way they dispose of the bottles. You understand? Like the young lady said in segment 1, that she found so much herbicide bottles like in Denry. They came down in the river. And all those things came from a farm or farms in the area. So we have to be aware that we need to make sure if we are doing this, we recycle it and get a way to shred it so that it does not end up into our waters.
Because what impact will it have on your business? The main resource that you use, raw material, comes from the marine ecosystem?
Now that will in turn now, I will end up getting microplastics within the sea.
Do you want to tell us something about the effects of those microplastics?
Again,
because recently we have some consultants speaking on, actually you want to create in St. Lucia legislation associated with reusable or providing incentives for plastic bottle use, like beverage bottles. And they spoke about the presence of microplastics in the blood. That's scary.
Yeah,
microplastics in the blood.
It is.
And its harmful effects on our human bodies.
So it goes back to the exact thing you just said. So imagine we now have microplastics in our oceans where we harvest in sea moss. We go to the supermarket, the manufacturer of the sea moss will not even. So now it goes back to the microplastics in the blood.
Right.
It goes full circle.
And even when we think about our impact on what we do on the land and how it impacts the marine ecosystem, not just the farmers, because you mentioned the farmers, but we have to think about all of us and what we can do to ensure that we preserve our natural environment.
Yeah, but even our marine wildlife, just like our turtles that come to lay nests on our beaches every year, remember they also eat the sea moss, they also eat the seaweed that is out there in our oceans. And if you read the statistics, microplastics is one of the biggest killers of our turtles.
Yes.
So.
And we could be killing our own selves.
Exactly.
Yeah. Toiler, as we have just listened to what Eugene Gabriel and Ronald Rahul have shared with us, as part of the SKIP project, will there be opportunities for the youth to perhaps engage in mentorship or internship with these people who are seasoned, who are successful? Is that going to be part of the SKIP project?
First of all, that is every intention. Really and truly, and I'm happy that you mentioned it, even without us having a previous conversation about the need for research and development. And our project partners with 2 post-secondary institutions, the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, as well as the National Skills Development Center. And really, what we're trying to emphasize, as I've mentioned, the incorporation of creativity and innovation within programs, but more so looking at that aspect of research and development that would marry academia and industry. Because we have a brilliant mind here, and as Eugene was speaking, I was like, everything he said with regards to how he went about developing his business, I don't necessarily think that was really do need that level of either mentorship or some type of collaboration. I'd like to say again, also he made an important note that I can think of it, but I can't invent everything. And I think that too is very important, that sometimes we place so much pressure on, oh, you're studying science, so you should design something that saves the world. And it's not necessarily the case, because you do find a lot of students who do get into the business programs are actually more inclined to think solution-oriented or solution-based within that space. So our project would allow for there to be a crossover, sorry, I should say, with regards to different fields and different departments, the blue economy and agriculture, or the blue economy and tourism, based on the photography and creativity mentioned here. And on top of these cross sections, we also want to see how we can partner those students with the private sector. So there is very much a component that would allow for business development through grant funding for said students, whether it is to develop on their own innovations separately, or in what we call the consortia grants, where private sector comes together addressing a collective issue using those grant funding. So for instance, as mentioned, we see those microplastics being an issue. How can more business minds like the ones here on this stage collaboratively come together to design a concept and see it through its inception stage to actual delivery, in order to, of course, change the ecosystem within which their business operates?
Okay.
Because again, the underpinning is sustainability at the end of the day.
Yes, yes. And again, it ties in with our theme, the Ocean's Call: Innovate, Sustain, Prosper. So we hope by the end of this project, everybody involved can prosper, right?
Absolutely.
In a sustainable manner.
In a sustainable manner.
Yes.
If it's not sustainable, we can't promise you anything. But really, what we really are trying to pull out of persons is whatever business idea you have, it really needs to be contributing and not taking from. We see a lot of persons just having pop-up businesses. For easy convenience, we tend to think very short term. I can make a profit now, and that's what's important.
Yeah.
But we don't realize the impact that it has, of course, on the environment, or even social settings as well.
Okay.
So it's really important that we address that when we look at innovations as well.
Okay. So as we are winding down, I'd like to give you the opportunity to perhaps impart some words of inspiration out there to our viewers. And also, let us know how we can contact you. Each of you. Toya, you.
Okay, so again, I can be contacted via the OECS Skip St. Lucia unit. My desk number is 722-88880. So it's 728-8880.
Okay, and any inspirational words you want to leave with us?
Again, the inspiration is, I get by through everything saying that crisis builds character. This is a slight twist with regards to the original saying, but it's important to note that how St. Lucia came out after COVID is a testament to what can be created when you're being put in a pressure point. Mm-hmm. There are other international things that are ongoing that we know will impact us in one way or another. This is the time to think outside of the box, to create, to be innovative. What was said earlier by Dr. Fletcher is very important. We do not always have to be on the consuming end of innovation. Somebody doesn't have to tell us what to do in order for us to thrive. So let us be the ones to create. Do not be scared off again by whatever your circumstances are. Use it to pivot and to create, as opposed to just operate in survival mode.
Thank you very much, Toya Lagon, for those words. Over to you, Ronald, Raul.
Okay. You can reach out to us. Our social media handles, St. Lucia 360, very easy. Our website, stlucia360.com, SAINT. It's actually a free website. Anybody could access it from their mobile phone or any mobile device or your computer. My advice, there's greatness in each and every one of us. And I think the past few months, or years, I should say, like the accomplishments we see, even on the international scene, I think we should use that as motivation to see what really lies within us, right? Again, whatever you're doing, scratch out the word ordinary, right? Go above and beyond in whatever you're doing, right? Try to stand out for good, that is, right? And the other thing is, our businesses almost always complement each other. Let's see how we could cooperate, you understand, team up to reach further together.
Synergy.
That's correct.
Thank you very much, Ronald. And over to you, Eugene.
Same as for our Facebook, you can reach us at 461-1000. As per inspiration for the youth out there that actually want to get into agriculture or the blue economy, never give up. Innovate. The world is our oyster. And right now, technology has given up the opportunity to create anything that we want.
Especially through Skip.
Yep.
Okay, well, we've come to the end of our panel discussion. So I want to thank our panelists again for being here and sharing with us their experiences and their inspiration. And as we continue, because we still have some hours left today, we'll continue to celebrate World Creativity and Innovation Week. I want to say a very special thank you to all of our viewers.